you told people it was an armadillo cake, they would be like, oh yeah, it's an armadillo cake. If you said it was a rat cake, then they'd also be like, oh yeah, it's a rat cake. Hey y'all, I am still in wedding planning mode and we have gotten down to the cake discussion. I'm going to attempt to make the most iconic groom's cake of all time. The Steel Magnolias Armadillo groom's cake.
You did this. Guilty.
I have prepared some red velvet cake mix because of course when you are making a groom's cake that is in the shape of an armadillo, because it is like supposed to be like roadkill, the inside is red velvet. Just think about it. I'm not going to explain the details to you. I'm not going to get into that. So I have 2 boxes of red velvet cake mix. Now, I know what you're saying. Box cake mix, why? You can make your own from scratch. Yes, I definitely can. I just don't really have the time to also make cake mix from scratch. I will say, I did zhuzh up this box cake mix by using melted butter instead of oil and milk instead of water. Tastes a lot better, tastes just like homemade in my opinion. I am going to put this red velvet cake mix into some pans. I have this half dome hemisphere cake pan that will be the armadillo's body. I also have this doll cake pan, which is, if you ask me, the perfect shape and size for an armadillo head. These are not very stable in the oven, so in order to make them more secure when they are filled with batter, I'm going to first make an aluminum foil ring. So I have set this round pan into the pie plate. It feels a lot more sturdy. It's not wobbling. Same thing goes with this doll pan. I'm going to also make a cake layer in this regular 9x13. This will be the body, so we can use this part for the legs and tail. And then this will be the head. That right there I think is an armadillo if you ask me. I'm going to spray. That was a good one. After you drop this on the ground, then you can spray your pans with my best friend Pamela so they don't stick. 2 boxes of cake mix fits perfectly in this round half dome pan. And then I will mix together 2 more boxes of cake mix that will be evenly distributed between this head and the feet. This dome cake pan takes significantly longer than these 2 cake pans, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this into the oven while I mix up my other 2 boxes of cake mix to put into these other pans. So following the instructions on the box, 350 degrees. And yesterday, I'm pretty sure that took about 50 minutes. So I'm gonna check it at about 40 and then keep checking it every 5 or 10 minutes after that. The second 2 mixes are done. And now I can put them into these pans. In this 9x13, I'm gonna put it in the oven with the other layers. Armadillo head. There we go. I think it's gonna take about 35 minutes for the other 2 layers and probably about 50 minutes for the other one. In the meantime, I'm going to get to mixing the frosting. So I've got some cream cheese frosting because what else would you serve with red velvet cake? And I have some black gel food coloring that I'm going to carefully drop into my cream cheese frosting. I'm gonna start with a little bit and then work my way up to more if I need it. This is looking pretty gray. It's a pretty good gray color, but I think it needs to be a little bit more on the brown side. Just a small tinge of brown. We'll see. A little goes a long way with gel food coloring. We'll see where that gets us. My frosting is the perfect shade of armadillo gray. I have this silver platter that I want my armadillo cake to be on because we are going full Steel Magnolias. I'm dressed in blush and bashful.
What are your colors, Shelby? They're blush and bashful.
Ooh, we've got blush and bashful flowers. We are acting like we are at the wedding reception. I have already made my cake layers, and they have been chilled in the fridge overnight. It is way easier to frost and carve a chilled cake than it is a room temperature one. I have my body for this is the layer for the legs. This is going to be the armadillo body, and here is the armadillo head. So now I have to unwrap all of these, put a little bit of frosting in the center to adhere them, and then get to carving. Cutting this part off will be the best bet to get us an armadillo shape. And they're a little bit curved on the edges, not totally straight. So I'm going to kind of go like this to get the body of the armadillo. So there's that. I kind of went off a little bit too much on this side, which is okay because I can put it together with frosting. So I need to put a little bit of frosting on this to adhere the body to the arms and legs. Oh yeah, that is looking very armadillo-esque. You can cut this section out. So this will be the full armadillo body, and this will give me room to make the legs. So this, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this portion out for the head. Okay, so if you're looking at these pictures of these armadillos, it looks like they have a little bit of a hunch where their legs go. So their legs don't come over much. So I just need to they kind of just stick out a little bit like little feet. I think I need to trim some of this because if his feet aren't, that looks like a real tall foot. So I'm going to maybe cut some of this off like this. And then the last little detail before I attach the head is the tail. It does need a little bit of a longer tail, but I ran out of cake, so I can probably attach some more that I can curl up a little bit right here, because right now it's very turtly. This head, now this is the hardest part about this entire thing. So it looks like it's a pretty good shape, but it kind of looks like a pig currently. This is like a turtle, and this looks like a pig. So we're going to shave off this portion just to make it a little bit more narrow. Give me a flat surface because it exploded a little bit in the oven. And let's see how I'm looking right there. Oh, that is looking pretty nice. So since the head is gonna come right here, I need to have it like a flat surface right here so it can sit on the tray. It's looking pretty armadillo-y. I think that the head needs to be a slightly more pointy so that we get out of turtle land. Look at that, oh my goodness. It still kind of looks like a turtle. But I'm thinking that this is probably as close to armadillo as I'm gonna get. I have it pretty much done. I need to adhere the head to the body by spreading it with some icing. And the last piece to this puzzle is making sure that I have a curly tail. I think I'm gonna use one of these rounded pieces that I cut from the side of the armadillo to make its long kind of curved tail back here. So I'm gonna cut that, and I think this might end up being pretty good. I think I'm going to cut off this tail that I already used, and then that way I can attach it like this. I am laughing so hard at this armadillo. Okay, so the next step is to crumb coat this armadillo, which basically just means adding a thin layer of frosting to the entire cake and then chilling it, and then I can frost the other portion of the cake. What this does, it's called a crumb coat because it basically gives you a buffer between frosting and crumbs. And by doing this and chilling it, it prevents crumbs from getting into your icing for the final layer. Okay, just pulled my armadillo out of the fridge after crumb coating it. I have filled a piping bag with my gray icing. I have this tip on this bag that is, I don't know what shape it would be called, but it's a thick slanted line. And so I'm just gonna go at it, and these are gonna be the scales, and I'm gonna do it all the way down the body of the armadillo. Here we go with the scales.
What do you think has been the biggest challenge so far?
Biggest?
It's the power going out.
Well, up until this point, the biggest challenge was carving the armadillo. But now the power just went out, so I would say that is my biggest challenge. So let me go see if there's a breaker that I can flip. So I have made some ears out of fondant that I'm going to paint some icing on with this offset spatula. I think the ears are gonna take it from rat, turtle to armadillo, but we'll have to see once I get these ears on. So it still looks like a rat, but I have to put a few final touches on it, like putting the stripes down here, and I might try to perfect the nose a little bit better. I think I'm doing pretty good, because if you ask me, the aunt that made this in Steel Magnolias for the Grooms cake, it didn't look like an armadillo either. I mean, it did, but this also, if you told people it was an armadillo cake, they would be like, oh yeah, it's an armadillo cake. Like, if you said it was a rat cake, then they'd also be like, oh yeah, it's a rat cake. So I am going to put these lines down the center, because if you think about an armadillo, they have this like very significant little center band around their body. So I'm gonna try to create that here in its scales. I made like a like pink nose. I didn't really like the way that it was going. It looked too possum-esque, and I've been saying this whole time that it doesn't really have armadillo vibes. It has more like rat vibes, turtle vibes. Now I'm looking at it and it's like full-on rhinoceros. So I decided I have some extra chocolate icing. I'm going to give some detailing on the scales and on the stripes, because I think that will really take this armadillo in the direction more of an armadillo and less in the direction of rat, turtle, rhino. Okay, this brown chocolate frosting has really taken this over the top, and I am fully confident that this is an armadillo cake and not a rat cake, not a rhino cake, and not a turtle cake. If I had to rate this armadillo on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give myself an 8. Maybe a 7.5. Since it's Steel Magnolias, I just figured why not put some magnolia leaves around the edge of my armadillo. Okay, I mean, I have successfully made an armadillo cake. It might not be the best armadillo cake that has ever been made, but you know, given the time constraints, it looks pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. If you want to recreate this at home, good luck, that's all I have to say. But it is very fun and a great activity to do with your best gal pals after you have watched Steel Magnolias. I would say this would make a great Saturday project. Be sure to bake the layers ahead of time and just have some patience. Those are my 2 tips. If you like this video, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share. If you have a suggestion on a future video for Hey Y'all, let me know. If you have a suggestion for Luis on what he should do for his Grooms cake for our wedding, we are both all ears, because we don't know what we're gonna do. And so if you have a Grooms cake that you love, we would love to read about it in the comments. I cannot complete the Steel Magnolias armadillo cake episode without hacking into this armadillo the way that Weeza does in the movie. So without further ado, I'm gonna hack into this armadillo just like that. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I will see y'all next week on Hey Y'all. Happy baking.